Okay, so have you ever waken up? So have you ever so in the morning, have you ever waken up and ever thought to yourself, if you did the right problem set in your homework, or if you studied the right materials for today's exam, or wondered if your grades are even good, or wondered even if you're hungry or not, or wondered if that girl still likes you? All these concerns and variables makes you think if you can handle all this. It's no wonder why we don't get any rest. It's so much concerns as college students. So much concerns as college students that we don't get enough rest throughout the day. Taking naps is a great way of refreshing yourself during the day. So today I will discuss why taking naps is important and how 1/3 of an hour can make you feel empowered. I will discuss this through 3 topics. One, you could recognize these three ways you could recognize this as naps equals RAPS. R for relax, A for awareness, and P for productivity. So first I will talk about how taking naps can make you feel relaxed. So going to college, as a biochem major, I felt overwhelmed. I really had so much on my plate, and I felt like I had to join a club, I had to get good grades, I had to make new friends, find an internship, and study while working 30 hours of work. I really didn't know what to do with myself. But then I found the power of taking naps. So whenever I take a nap, I feel less anxiety, less stress, and I just feel motivated to start my day. I just feel healthier. And according to the Huffington Post, when you take a nap, heart disease decreases by 30%. Your blood pressure decreases, your stress decreases, while your memory, your creativity, and your cognitive functions increase. So second, I will talk about how taking a nap can influence awareness. Have you guys ever driven a car falling asleep or feeling tired? I know I have, we all do. And I just think it's bad for your overall being, and it just hurts the safety of others. Studies have shown that feeling tired, that when you're tired, you make unwise and unethical decisions. And I think that's true, because there's a time where I pulled in an all-nighter studying for this biophysics test, had no sleep, and then on the way to school I got in an accident. I hit the car in front of me. Like, I always thought to myself, like, what if I didn't wake up from the nap, or what if the accident was more than just rear bumper getting damaged. And then according to the Highway Administration, 37% of people fall asleep. Due to this, it's caused 7,100 injuries and has cost $12.5 billion. Another time that this has caused awareness in my life, there was a time where I had a major biophysics problem due. Spent all day trying to figure it out, but nothing. Went home, took a nap, and decided to try again. And it took me 5 minutes to figure out after the nap. And then an easy problem that I was too tired to figure out. And then you're always asking, why don't I just drink coffee for awareness? It leaves you I don't take it because it leaves you feeling jittery. Drinking too much coffee is bad for you, and you become too dependent on it, and when you don't have it, you start to feel anxious. Lastly, I will talk about how naps can lead to productivity. Just after 6 minutes, you can tell the benefit of taking a nap. Companies are investing in sleeping pods. Uber, Google, NASA, Nike are all investing in encouraging employees to sleep. So 1/3 of an hour can make you feel empowered. So how can you implement this throughout your day? Set an alarm for 20 minutes to wake up, splash water on yourself, or do even jumping jacks after you take a nap. You feel better about yourself, and you just feel healthy overall. So in conclusion, naps are just not for kids, not for just elder, and not just for sick. They're for everyone. Remember, if you're feeling tired or groggy, nap to wrap to enjoy the benefit of relaxing, gaining awareness, and productivity, because 1/3 of an hour can lead to being empowered.
So, Cindy, what did you think?
I really liked how he knew what he was talking about. He had a lot of examples, and it was well planned. You could tell he really practiced it, and I really enjoyed it.
About the content. Was it well researched? Did you think he was reasoning appropriately? Was it organized in a way that made it easy for you to follow? What do you think?
I think it was well organized. I didn't get lost in his speech. I just knew what he was talking about, and I got the hang of it.
You didn't get lost in his speech, just in his eyes. Okay.
I don't think it's right there, just me? I know it's right.
All right, well, you've got a rhetorical question as your attention device, and you had to struggle through it 3 times to get started. The rhetorical questions and the survey things, I think they are perfectly appropriate when you've got an impromptu speech, but when you've got something that's prepared, you really, I think, want something a little bit stronger. And I think because you're trying to wing it, that's one of the reasons it's a little bit harder for you to get started on that. So I think that would help you there. I did think that you had a good transition to your topic, and we understood immediately what it was you were talking about. That's good. You've got a clear statement of what your end goal is going to be, and the preview kind of includes this little acronym that'll help us remember what the structure is. We got the wrap thing coming, you know, and so I'm glad you didn't wrap your whole speech. That would have been a little awkward. Oh, it might have been fun. I don't know. You know, we just don't have any rhythm section, you know. We'd have to get somebody to do some beatboxing in order to be able to accomplish that. All right. Here's the thing. When you get to your first point, you've got a nice personal example that you use there. I like that, and I think it's something people can relate to. You follow up with some information that you cited from an appropriate source on the health benefits. That's great. And then you get to your second point, and we get another rhetorical question here. And there's another place where you need a different example, a different experience, a visualization about somebody driving along and being drowsy and having a potential issue. You're going to use your personal example later on, so this would be one of those places where if there was a real-world example or a visualization that's hypothetical, I think you could have made it a little bit more vivid, and that would make it more interesting. You've got a personal example, like I said, that you put into this point. There's some statistical information here that was a little bit awkward as it was presented. It made it sound like 1/3 or 37% of the drivers out there fall asleep while they're driving. And I know that that's not what the statistic means. I'm sure the 37% relates to something, but it was not clear what it was. And that would have been one of those places where if you are going to use notes, which you ultimately do, because for the first part of the speech you're not really relying on the notes, then maybe you want to use the notes for something like that so that you can get the information into the speech clearly and make sure that it is understandable for people to follow. I thought that you did an okay job kind of dismissing some of the competing suggestions, why your policy of taking a nap is superior to just trying to drink coffee, for instance. I think that's definitely something that would be appropriate for this kind of a speech, so you're doing a good job there. Presentation issues. All right, so we'll just talk about a few things concerning the presentation. Let's start with your eye contact. There isn't a lot of it. You have a tendency to look down and in the corners and not at the audience that you're speaking to. You want to talk to us. You want to look in our direction. if you have to fake it a little bit, I think it's maybe better to fake it by looking over our heads than it is by looking at our feet, because you're not fooling anybody when you look at the feet, and maybe you'll fool half of the audience by looking slightly over their heads. But it's just better just to start talking to people. There aren't that many of us, so there's nothing to be nervous about. And these are all people that you've met a couple of times. You know, you've been in class with them all semester long, so it feels a little shady that you're doing this at this point in the semester. You need to be more engaged. You have a tendency to walk around while you're speaking without necessarily any purpose, and sometimes you're doing some hand clapping things that also just look like they're a little, that's your anxiety coming out. There's nothing wrong with the occasional, hands slapping into the hand to emphasize a particular point, but at the beginning it's like, you're doing this sort of thing, and it's just energy coming out some way. And that's another thing to practice on. All right, and the conclusion of the speech also sounded a little bit rushed. So I'd be careful about that. Thank you.